Welcome to your Daily 5 for Monday, January 29th, 2024. I have heard of 1974's Killdozer a couple of times over the years. I'd seen the poster for it, I knew the basic premise of it. But interestingly, for a movie like this, you usually can kind of sense what the general consensus is on it, what most people think of it. And it usually falls into a couple of camps when you're talking about a low-budget film with a, frankly, pretty wild premise. But this one was different. I kept reading in different places. I never read extensively about it, but I would see people write about it pretty fondly. And some people were writing in a it's a so bad it's good type of way, but other people seem to actually have what you could only call a genuine affection for the movie. And I thought, you know what? I'm curious because it's unusual to see people that are as divided on something like this as this one is. And I don't mean divided like I normally look for with really highs and lows, but kind of this weird middle ground opinion of the film. So I thought, okay, it's free in a bunch of places. Why not just watch it? And so I started watching it, and I'll be honest, I struggled with it for about 15 to 20 minutes. Not that I thought it was bad or I couldn't watch it, but I really couldn't figure out what headspace I was supposed to be in with the movie. And finally, I got to a point where I thought, okay, this is a movie that has a very difficult premise to make work. And rather than just make a lazy or insulting film to the viewer, something that's just lacking in any type of worth, they attempted to make something that would work with the premise they had. And honestly, that carried me through the movie. I'm not going to tell you that it's a good movie. I think that would just be untrue. But it is a charming movie. It is an endearing movie. It's a movie that once I got to the end of it, I was kind of glad I watched it because, again, it didn't come off like they were just making the laziest, easy way out thing possible. The actors are all doing very good work. They're acting very seriously in what, let's be honest, is a movie about a killer bulldozer, as if the title didn't give that away. Talking about a sentient sort of bulldozer that is chasing a group of men that are trying to dig out a mine, I think somewhere in Africa. That's where it appeared that the meteorite landed that kicked this whole thing off. And the reality is, if you do even basic research, you're going to find out pretty quickly that the average person, unless you have some kind of severe injury or some kind of physical mobility limitation, most people are easily going to be able to outrun a bulldozer. It just doesn't move that quickly. It's a piece of heavy machinery that's not meant to move that quickly. And so right from the start, you're facing a pretty tall task to not make this movie just come off as laughable. And honestly, you could remake this into a parody film and not change anything if you just kind of change the tone of it. But I also could actually see, once I got towards the end of it, I thought to myself, there was a way. There probably was a way with a better budget, maybe a better writer or two, to make this movie be effective. Not necessarily ever great, but more effective than it was. But again, I put that up to probably it's a TV movie. I didn't realize that when I started it, but then I read about it afterwards. So this is a TV movie, so obviously the budget is way below what you would get with a normal film in most cases. And the only other thing about it that I think really could use a change is the soundtrack, which is... it is jarring, and not in a we meant it this way type of jarring, but in a you're going to get a headache if you listen to this for too long type of way. Fortunately, it doesn't stick around too much, but it comes in whenever the bulldozer's around, and it's weird, and it's not great. But everything else about it, there's actual good direction. There's good shot choices. It's attempting to make the bulldozer seem scary. They're manning it unmanned somehow. I don't know how they're doing it. Remote control or somebody, probably more likely somebody that's covered up in the cab. And it does try to be as much of a horror film as it can be. The problem is, it's going to be so difficult to make this type of premise work effectively that they were going up a pretty tall hill to begin with. And I don't know that they had the equipment necessary to surmount it. So, look, I was never bored. I'll give it that. I actually appreciated the fact that all the actors were giving it what seems like very good performances. They were not, they weren't just lazily doing whatever because they knew they were in a killer bulldozer film. They were trying, and they come off very well. Again, there's some really nice shots in it. There's some very effective stuff in terms of the direction. It's not being taken as a, who cares type of 3-day shoot thing, which I've seen. I have seen movies with probably more money than this one had that don't even bother. So the fact that they actually put the effort in as much as they could, I do appreciate. And that would be the reason to watch it. You're not going to take it seriously. It's not scary, but it has a charm to it. And so I would say, since you can watch it for free, yeah, you might have a good time with 1974's Killdozer. So why not? Give it a shot. Later.